Hi, welcome to Worth the War. My name is Kimmy. The purpose of Worth the War is rethinking love. Together, we're preparing for healthy love and relationships and avoiding abuse. If you think we can do a better job with love and relationship than we're doing in the modern culture, then you found the exact right channel. Right off the bat, I'm going to apologize if the audio on this video is not stellar. I don't have my actual microphone, so I'm doing the best I can with my earbuds. We'll see how this goes. But I think this is a really timely and important message, and it's going to be about keeping politics out of your relationships. I've been seeing a lot of problems that are coming up right now. Currently, while this is being filmed, is near an election, and I'm seeing people's relationships being torn apart. So let's look at some common sense ways that we can avoid that and not let that happen to our relationships. Often what we're doing on this channel is helping people to avoid abuse, to avoid violence, to be able to identify when those kinds of experiences and those kind of people come into our lives. Healthy love and relationship also has to do with managing things on a normal and healthy level. And politics is one such arena that we can all use a little bit of wisdom spoken into. I was able to read a couple great articles, and I'll cite them down below. And I got just a little bit of the common sense wisdom that I've learned over the years, mostly by making mistakes. We're going to look at a few short things that you can do that today can change how relationships are being affected in your life by politics. My background educationally actually is political science and politics. And so the best way to describe what we are arguing about in politics is the study of power at its base level. The question isn't whether or not we need to be able to agree on exactly how to dole out that power or have the government keep it or have it go to the people. The question really has to come to, do you think that the role of government is correct? Do you like what the role of government is? And that's really what these arguments kind of boil down to at their very base level. Now, we're not going to be able to solve how you're going to be able to bring everybody together to agree with you. I'd like to be able to do that. That's just not going to happen because as many people are out there, there's going to be that many different ways to look at the level of involvement, the level of power that a government should have over your country. I'm not saying they're not important issues or that whether it's a relationship or anything else, that there aren't really important reasons for us to discuss the differences and what exactly they translate into. They come down to life or death decisions, and we don't need to gloss over that and say it's just not important. That's not the point. The point is we want to be able to have healthy and vibrant relationships even when we have disagreements in this area. The first thing I'm going to do is just tell you what I think the base of the problem is. And then we're going to go through 5 practical ways that you can take control of this so that it doesn't affect the relationships that matter to you. What's really causing at the root of this, and I see it in social media, I see it on TV, is that we have gone from a nation that agreed that it was okay to have disagreements to one that basically immediately paints someone who disagrees with us as ignorant or stupid or dumb. And that is not implicit. That is explicit. People are saying it, people that are in positions of power, people that are actually in the media. So when we start to take ourselves and denigrate down to this uncivil level, it's going to have its seepage into your own personal thoughts as well as into your relationships. So we need to have a barrier to that. When we see someone ad hominem attacking the person, even though their beliefs may or may not be the same as ours, we need to have a red flag go up. That's an unhealthy way to look at things. That is taking me to a toxic place. We can respect that people can have different opinions on the role of government without making them stupid. So 5 things that you can do immediately that will help to control this current discourse, not just in the United States, but across the globe, from coming in and messing with your relationships. Be careful of the arrogance that exists when people disagree with you. Make sure that within your own heart, you kind of look out there and go, that may not be the only position that has any kind of intellectual creed. The next thing you got to do is know your tolerance. You need to be honest with your tolerance. Lots of times our initial reactions are coming out of a place of fear. So we have to be able to understand if we're going to react out of fear, we're going to do damage to the relationships that we have that disagree with us, especially. So we have to know how much we can handle. That's the first step to any kind of game plan that's going to give you a release from politics messing with you. Understanding your tolerance really comes down to 2 simple questions. How much are you willing to discuss about politics? Who are you willing to discuss it with? And know the history of that. If you have a group that you feel comfortable discussing these things, you've talked about it over the years, you're comfortable, that's great. Enjoy that. Large family settings, celebrations of birthdays, weddings, those kinds of things, probably not the best place to pick. But once you know what the tolerance is of the group and of your own desire to talk about it, that's the first step. The second one is look at the history of it. If you haven't been able to talk about whether or not it's sunny or it's cloudy, it's probably not the right person to pick up a political discussion with. The second thing is just a really solid understanding of what you believe and why. That can prevent a lot of your blood pressure going up and a lot of your defense mechanisms. It's really important to know why you believe what you believe, and in politics most especially, because if you can't back that up, if it's just an emotional plea, then we need to stay really open to the fact that maybe we're just picking something because it makes us feel comfortable. We literally don't know anything about it. So if you take the time to know why you believe and what the basis of that is, you're going to be ready to discuss these things in really healthy ways. Along the same lines is setting parameters for gatherings that you are going to be hosting. If you want to have somebody over for a birthday party and you want to invite family over, there's nothing wrong with letting them know ahead of time. Politics are off the table here, guys. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to have a pleasant time supporting and encouraging one another. I've actually had gatherings where I've said, if you want to talk about that, you need to go outside. You need to go out where we're not going to be overhearing it. If it gets heated, you guys can stay out there. There are different things that you can do that you can feel comfortable saying, I'm willing to have people over, but in this time of complete and utter disagreement amongst people that we actually care about, there's nothing wrong with letting them know what you're comfortable with and you're not. And you can kind of learn a lot about a person if they honor that. And lastly, don't be afraid to use a tactic. If you have to propose a toast, change the subject. Don't worry about being obvious about it. If something's not positive, don't feel bad changing it. When we think about how we approach these kinds of subjects with the people that we love the most, it's important that we don't need to apologize for being protective about the environment of a room. We don't have to apologize for wanting to make sure that the people we're trying to honor actually feel honored when they leave our homes. I would never argue that there's not a place for discussions like politics or religion or other things that can really inflame different people's emotions. But how we choose them, when we choose them, that's really the key. It's not a position of weakness to control and to honor people and to make sure that we discuss these things in ways that are productive. It really, actually, at the end, if you really look throughout human history, there's rules of etiquette. And one of them is we don't just throw people into the wolves because we're gathering. We actually think about it. We're methodical about it. We try to be as polite as we can be to make sure that we make these discussions productive when they do happen. So I hope some of this has been helpful for you. It's a really great thing to bring your children into as well. Help them to understand these kinds of things so that when they're adults, they don't end up losing relationships because they weren't prepared for how to handle these kinds of situations. The last thing that I want to share with you is just for a second, and it's some ideas about discussing politics from the 1800s in the United States and in England. Number 1, educate yourself before you speak. Number 2, know where you stand. Number 3, don't be a know-it-all. Number 4, don't be more concerned about your parties than your beliefs. Number 5, change the subject, which I definitely agree with that one. Keep your cool. Don't take sides in the discussion itself, and don't make it personal. These kinds of things from the 1800s seem to be something we could really learn from today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know that I'm not the only channel on YouTube, so it means so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.